This podcast is mine now. No one can stop me from taking over the entire world and being
Craig,
the only...
what are you doing? Hello?
What?
Craig, turn the reverb off.
What reverb?
Craig.
Oh.
There
Sorry,
you go.
hold on.
Come on.
Okay.
That better? Okay. What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You said you were going to take over the world. Take over the world? Why would
Craig,
I say that?
I was standing right here the whole time.
Sorry. There you go.
Look,
I just want to be on the podcast, okay? Invite me on as a guest or something.
Craig, you've been on the podcast enough.
What do you mean I've been on it enough?
We're going to have problems, Craig. You're the tambourine player.
Yeah, but I do that all the time. Come on. Let me host an episode. Go. Yeah.
Craig, you can barely even do your job right. A 3-year-old can do what you do and do it much better, might I add.
Okay, just because a 3-year-old does my job one time does not mean he can
Craig,
do it better.
he's better than you.
I know.
Now, please just get back to the studio.
Yeah, okay. Go. Can I just... No. Okay. How about a little...
Nope.
Okay. Go. There you go. All right. Are you ready to start it now? Roll it. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sports and Other Things of the Sorts. I am Lucas Stein. Craig is not taking over, and I'm upset. Houston lost in the championship game, unfortunately, to Florida. I had Houston winning. I had a pretty good bracket right up until the Sweet 16, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Today, we're here to talk about an overview of the tournament. I was going to do bracket updates for, who advanced from the Sweet 16, stuff like that, but I didn't. That's my reason, and I'm sticking to it. So I wanted to talk about kind of some of the big games, but the themes I see on the internet about March Madness and what I thought about March Madness. So first of all, let's start with the biggest problem that people had with this year's tournament is there were not many upsets. I mean, you had McNeese versus Clemson, but they got eliminated in the next game. You had Colorado State versus Memphis, but they got eliminated in the next game. You had Drake versus Missouri, but Drake got eliminated in the next game. Arkansas, they actually made it to the Sweet 16, and they pushed Texas Tech to overtime, so that was cool. But there just weren't many Cinderella stories. There wasn't the Oral Roberts. There wasn't the Oakland, or as my brother calls it, the Jack Golke University story, where they're winning a couple games and they're actually contending. And a lot of people attribute that to the fact that the transfer portal is making all the best players go to where more money is. And there does need to be a bigger conversation about the problem with the transfer portal and when it opens and just its whole existence in general. However, a lot of people called this tournament March Midness because of the lack of upsets. I say you're wrong. I get it. Upsets are fun to watch. But I don't know many people who watched that Maryland-Colorado State game and weren't jumping out of their seat when Maryland hit that buzzer beater. Like, that was a good game to watch. The Oregon-Arizona game in the second round, that was a good game to watch. I stayed up to watch that one because I couldn't take my eyes off it. You had BYU versus Wisconsin, 91-89, huge scoring affairs. Then you had Houston versus Purdue. I didn't see that game live, but I did. I saw the replay of it. And then you had Florida, who just decided that they would be not only a second half team, but a second half of the second half team. They never really looked like a 1 seed in most of their games until the final 10 minutes of the game. And it was just impressive. I didn't watch the UConn game, but I did watch the Maryland game the Texas Tech game. I had Texas Tech beating them, and it looked like such a good pick. Texas Tech was up by 10 with 2:30 left, and Walter Clayton Jr. decided that he would be able to do a 360 plus 425 degree turn with a sky hook, hezzy move, cross dribble, double dribble, over the hedge, freaking shot from the moon and make it in. I don't know what that was. This is unscripted, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you get. Anyways, Florida was the come from behind team. I think, honestly, one of the weirdest things is the biggest upset was a 1 seed versus a 1 seed when Duke lost to Houston. Many people had Duke not only beating whoever was in that Final Four on the right side of the bracket, many people had Duke winning the whole thing. So when they got knocked out, especially with how little time it took for them to get knocked out, that was crazy. I was watching that game jumping out of my seat, my raised seat, I should say. And then we move to the championship game. I wanted to talk about this because this is probably the worst basketball game I have ever seen. It is so ironic that when you put 2 1 seeds together, you can get the worst game of the whole tournament. Houston looked like garbage from the beginning. Shooting-wise, I should say. They took desperation shot after desperation shot when there was 18 minutes left in the first half. Like, you do not need to go searching for a corner 3 at this moment. You do not need to try to do a skyhook to score. You just need to score. Take better shots. Don't take these contested shots. And the weirdest thing about this game is that by all other measures except points, I know it sounds dumb, but just kind of bear with me here. Everything else except points to Houston. Wow, that was weird. Everything else except points indicates that Houston won this game. Houston had more offensive rebounds. They had about 5 times less turnovers than Florida. It was like 15-3 on turnovers. Houston blocked them 4 or 5, maybe 6 times. Houston, I believe, shot better in the first half. I can't remember exactly, but Houston statistically was the better team. Oh, the biggest thing. There was only 64 seconds of the game where Houston was not in the lead. They were at the very beginning, and unfortunately for Houston, the very end. Florida had the lead for 64 seconds, which is incredible given that Walter Clayton Jr. decided to take every possible shot he could, went like 1 for 7, maybe 2 for 8 from 3-point land just because he felt he was on fire. I don't know. It was a really, really, really bad game. There were bad passes. There was bad shots on all sides, especially from Walter Clayton Jr. After you see performances like what he did in the Texas Tech game, and then you watch that, it's like, are we watching the same guy? It was such a weird game. Houston was up by 12, by the way, at one point, and then obviously they lost. Other than that, I think this was a good tournament. I think it's the first I've seen where there weren't these huge Cinderella stories. There weren't surprise teams in the Final Four. You know, the teams in the Elite Eight, there was only 1 3 seed, and it was Texas Tech. But yeah, I still think it was a good tournament. I understand people wanting more upsets, but you got to watch the games. Because some of these games were just incredible. They were so good to watch. It's so much fun to watch. I point to the Arizona-Oregon game. I point to BYU versus Wisconsin. And then I look at, where is it? Maryland versus Colorado State. Yeah. There were so many good games. Even if there weren't a lot of upsets, you can't deny that there were so many games that were just top-notch. So much fun. It is so ironic, though, that the championship game was the worst game of the tournament. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Yeah, I'm going to pause so that the theme song can start, and then I'll jump in and end the episode. Okay? Sounds like plan. God, I really got to start scripting every little bit of these episodes. Anyway, pause. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Sports and Other Things of the Sorts. I'm curious to see what you all thought about the March Madness tournament. Did your bracket do well? I know I went 49 of 63 on games picked correctly. Most of those came in the first 2 rounds. So, I guess success in a sense, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I always love March Madness. It's the best time of year to scroll through 3 different channels and watch 3 different games at the same time. So much fun. So yeah, let me know how your bracket did. Let me know what you thought of the tournament overall. Next week, I'm gonna take a risk here. I'm gonna be releasing my predictions for the WrestleMania 41 card. I don't have Netflix, so I haven't been able to watch a full episode of Raw. I've been relying on YouTube to see YouTube shorts and to see YouTube videos about what's going on. So my predictions for Raw matches are probably going to be really bad. I probably don't know the full story. I'm sorry. I don't have Netflix. I don't know what to tell you. Whatever. And then I will also be releasing a new match rating system, kind of like Dave Meltzer, if you know who he is. However, I'm not going to pretend that my ratings mean that much. It's just my opinion. So, I'm excited to release those after WrestleMania. That'll probably be the Friday episode, so we'll get 2 WrestleMania episodes back to back. That'll be fun. And yeah, that sounds like a plan. I will see you then.